So, my name is Troy, and that is Dean, and that is Amy. We are Scare Hollow, and we are a home haunt in Portland, and we didn't know we had to move to Wood Village, so now we are in Wood Village. And we started out in 2006 with a little guy in the front yard, and we blossomed very quickly into a huge yard haunt that had 2,500 people in 2011, and then we were forced to move. And then I had a little graveyard, and this year we're deciding to do a giant hotel in the front of our house. So if you're in the area in October, come by and see us. And I just ran over there to get my point. So. Okay, so how many people were at last year's class? Okay, how many people are friends with me on Facebook? Oh, and how many people subscribe to me on YouTube? Oh, he does. Okay, everybody else has to leave.
Do you feel like it's high school again?
Or you get on your phones and do all that stuff. So that is actually one of my main points about this, is that the internet has, as some of you know, has really helped us, and is starting to help a lot of home haunters in general, with a lot of free expertise and help whenever you need it and stuff like that. A big community has cropped up on Facebook, especially. But since most of you were not at last year's class, I will go over some of the things from last year. So, wherever I look at it. Okay. So yeah, these are basically the important things that we went over last year. And if anybody needs the class handout from last year, I still have it, and you can sign up at our booth, which is 50 over there. And I can email it to you. We also have a bunch of other handouts that I'll go over at the very end. But so we have basically, with our designing of a home haunt, we get together like January, February-ish, and just have a brainstorming session. We had so many different ideas this year that came out, and somebody said, "Oh, we should do a motel." And you should have seen it. We had a big circle in our house, and it was just like, "Oh, we do this and this and this and this and this," and it just blossomed right there. I mean, every room was decided and basically planned out what we were going to have in it 10, 15 minutes after we came up with the idea. It may not come as easy as that to other people, and it may take a little more time, but we found that if like the first session you just kind of all sit around, brainstorm, think of ideas, and then basically go home and say, "Hey, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this," and then come back and have another meeting and just kind of discuss what everybody's ideas are and figure out there's a collective, thing. If you're by yourself, then you get to do whatever you want, and it's pretty cool. So basically, all of us have money. That's always an issue of how much you have and how much you need. But don't necessarily think, "Oh, well, I want to do this, but I swear I'm not going to have the money for it." Just kind of go with it and see what you can do, and that kind of goes around with the design about what you have. If you don't have that hearse or the giant, tank for a laboratory scene or something like that you would have to take a lot of time and money to do, then kind of push that away or try to figure out a different way to do it. But we basically, I go around the idea and then automatically think, how can we do this easily and on the cheap or free, and what that also then segues into having our friends help us say, "Hey, hey, I've got this." One of my friends said, "Hey, I have a clawfoot bathtub for our motel." I was like, "Sweet." That was the one thing I was already worried about, because I knew we were going to have a bathroom scene. I'm like, where am I going to I can't make a bathtub. That's going to be horrible. So I was like, I'm just going to go and find a bathtub. And they're not always on Craigslist, especially the clawfoot. Everybody wants a clawfoot tub in their house now. And so my friend said they have one, and it's ours. So now I just need to recruit all of you to come help me move. But after we have the idea down, we start basically kind of assigning jobs and say, "Hey, can you get this kind of stuff, and can you work about the marketing, and just basically kind of let everybody help and let them say, hey, I can do this," kind of like with the bathtub. "Hey, I can do the bathtub," and then maybe kind of help them decide if they want to do the bathtub scene or help build it. But us as a group, our group, we just basically work on it all together, and we all worked on the same projects. I'll be working till 2 o'clock in the morning one night, and then people will come over on Saturday and help out and stuff like that. So, but yeah, and then one thing I did this year, and it kind of fell apart, but I tried to do the prop a month idea, and so basically try to make something in after you have your idea. Go, February and say, hey, I need to make a drop panel. Okay, well, February make a drop panel, and then March make something else. We took, I think March I did a bunch of internet stuff. I did an After Effects promo. I learned After Effects, and I learned Photoshop, and I did a bunch of different things like that, and that's kind of when I learned SketchUp, which I'll touch on in a few minutes. But doing the timeline, that actually helped with even the convention. I had a huge timeline list and a to-do list of things I needed to get done, and it really helped me, say, hey, this needs to happen now, and try your best to stick to it. It's so easy to change the date in Microsoft Word and say, oh, now I can do that next week. So, which I did, but yeah, by September 1st to basically go along and say, hey, I need to do this, and then this, because October 20th will come 5 days after the 1st, so it happens very quickly. And then, yeah, so what, after we, basically once we have the idea down, is to basically plan out what you want the whole entire haunt to look like. And figure out good meeting times for everybody. Try to get as many people in one time. We have one friend that's a nurse. It's very hard for her to get into our meetings and stuff like that. So we're gonna probably try to maybe do like some Google Hangouts and also use YouTube and stuff like that to do a live webcast of it, or to do videos of our meetings, and then other people can be involved. And then we really stick to our plan once it's done. Once we have it ironed out, you don't want to deviate from it, because if you start thinking of another idea, you'll start going to that idea, and then you'll have 2 months. And then having work parties, having everybody help out and stuff like that on Saturdays or whatever, kind of goes along with the meeting idea of try to figure out several weekends in a row that people could come over and help out. And then one of the things that people in our group always had a problem with me was the flow of traffic. And I was a very stickler because we had, our old haunt had a walkway in the middle, and we had buildings on both sides. And everybody's like, okay, well, we need to put buildings on both sides. And I was like, but if you're looking at that one, you can't see that one. And so if you have a dual-sided haunt, then you're gonna have to do left and right. And you wanna diagonal them and stuff like that. Or you could do something like have a static scene. Like we had a bar one year that just had like our moving head guy. I still haven't given him a name yet, but so we had him over there, and then we had a actual scary scene over here. So people were looking over here, and that person gave them a chance to set and get ready to scare them, and use that scene to scare them as well. And then that goes with the misdirection. I think we've mastered misdirection to a point on ours. We use a lot of looking at other things, and that's similar to the idea like with our, in the thing here, we've got, these are going to be drop panels, but we've got a door that can open over here. So we're going to have our person that's lurking around in the graveyard, he's going to come through the door, like open it, and we're also going to have a rope that's going to go to his drop panel that he can pull, and it will open and close the door. And so then he can misdirect you away from the, because people are starting to get the drop panel thing, and people are really starting to look at the pictures and go, that's the drop. But if they're looking at the door, they're not going to know. And that's one of the things about drop panels that we're going to do this year is, if you have one where they're going to walk up to it, one is perfect. But if you've got, and if they're on a hallway and you're walking by, you're going to hit one, and only that person or two in the front or the back is going to get it. So we're going to put one in the front and one in the back so that people on both ends can get scared. And they'll either go off simultaneously or they'll go off individually depending on who's there and stuff like that. So misdirection is probably the best practice I know of in home haunting, because people already don't expect what you're going to do because it's your house. They don't expect you to have these elaborate sets and stuff like that. So anything you do, they're going to be scared, and they're going to enjoy, because it's something that they're not expecting. They're expecting to walk up and get candy, or just to walk up and see cool stuff on your walls and stuff. If you do a scary one, if you do a display one, then obviously you don't really need misdirection. So one of the things that we just quickly on these things, he came up with the idea because I was building them out of frames. I was sitting there Labor Day weekend a couple years ago in the 90-degree heat, building framed up walls. And I think I got 3 buildings up and he got like 4 out of pallets. And we loaded up trailers full of pallets and brought them home. And he made all of our pallet buildings that way. And they stayed up very well in the wind. We were sort of in a corridor of wind. I'm even more now in a corridor of wind now, so I have to deal with it a lot more. But they did not move, period. And they were heavy, but they weren't cumbersome. You know, they were very easy to put up and very easy to take down. And when we took them down, we figured out a better way to put them up next year and make them easier to install, to lock them together. And we do have a handout of how to build them as well. So that has become kind of our staple of buildings now. We're actually going to make our hallways this year out of pallets. We're going to make the entire building out of pallets. And so we'll have a hallway in the middle for the drop panels and then the walls on the outside. And it makes it super cheap. And also, once you're done with them, you can take them and have them recycled and you can get paid for them. If they are the brown ones they don't care if they have paint or blood. They do not like the big blue ones that have the big solid blocks. They're really heavy duty ones. The recyclers won't give you very much for those. You think they would because they're made out of a lot better wood, but they're only specific for certain kind of industries, and so they can't sell them very easily. These they can sell right back for $5-10, and they'll give you $3 or $4 for each pallet. I think we had like 200 pallets, I think, something like that, or 150. We made like 80 or 90 bucks off of it, but we got them for free. So that pays for your candy, some screws, things like that. So we really, and you're recycling it too, one of the things that I went for was the paint sprayer, and Harbor Freight sells a really cheap one. And so it's like 20 bucks, 15 bucks. So you replace it every year. If it gets gummed up, you don't have to worry about cleaning it. Use your 80 bucks for that. But obviously I think a lot of us have outdoor haunts, and especially if we live in the Northwest and Washington and stuff like that, we always have to deal with the rain. So once you have your walls up, you got to put a roof up, and then you also have a place to build inside there too. So if you have just little garage like I do, if I start building my haunt and put the roof over it, I have that whole driveway now to work on, and I have my garage. So that was I think we did it one year. We didn't put roofs on it. We were working out in the rain, and we thought, wait, we should put roofs on. And then using your own stuff, making sure that tap your friends and family for don't ask them for money, but getting their stuff from their house so that you can borrow and stuff like that. I always preface it with, we'll return it in nearly not bloody condition, or we will try to clean it up and make sure that it's not if it's something they really liked and they want it back, I say we will make sure it does not get touched and it does not get broken or anything like that. And then going, obviously Craigslist. I think we all have been on there many times to grab stuff. I'm on there every day looking at stuff, grabbing stuff. And then garage sales, and then also driving around on the afternoons of Sundays and the evenings. People will leave out the stuff they didn't sell on their garage sales. They'll leave it out front, and you can just go by and grab it all. And then for the pallets, if any of you live around here, I have pallets. I have tons of pallets all the time. We get them in from vendors and we can't send them out to our customers. So I get hundreds of pallets a week. So we normally just give them to a company and they recycle them. So, but going behind Home Depot and Lowe's and asking lumber yards, truss places, things like that, that will have pallets they don't want to give to customers and stuff like that. You can easily, it might actually look kind of cool. It's all broken up. A lot of people don't understand when I look at things. They're like, well, yeah, but the desk is broken. Why would you want? No, I want it broken. I want it to look like that. So a lot of stuff people don't want because they think it's broken is perfect for us because we want it to look distressed or broken. And then Goodwill and Dollar Tree, and then I've actually have a spot in my work is now discovering my hobby. And so they have actually segregated a section of a warehouse just for my pallets and things I want to keep. And so they're really starting to understand about what I'm doing, and but yeah, Goodwill's good for things. We actually got a very cool 3-tiered like porch lamp that's all gothic looking, everything like that. It was like 20 bucks, and I got it on the half price day, or the half price sticker. So 10 bucks for this really nice metal pole with lights on and everything. And of course it worked. So that was good. But you know, that's where you're going to spend the most money is Goodwill. But and here's some pictures I found on Craigslist. That is an actual, somebody made, I believe it is our phone, I think. But that is somebody made a Stonehenge in their backyard. I did not go pick it up. I thought about it, and he wants it, but I didn't get it in time. But and then this one, actually, I just saw this on there again a couple days ago. So if anybody needs some awesome stairs, I don't know really why, but I thought it was kind of cool. And it's been underwater, so obviously it might not be the sturdiest bottom to that. So. And then this person actually has these all the time, and they are on 122nd in Northeast Portland. They told me I could come by anytime I wanted, and I'm actually going to use these for pillars for like a porch roof. So you can make those. I also have a how-to and a handout for a smokestack. And those things would make perfect smokestacks with the dryer vent tube and a fog machine. And right up there, put a light in it, you got a smokestack. So, and you know, there's plenty of, you know, you can make trees out of that, stuff like that. I kind of want to make his log house because I want to be the guy that sends him the picture of a log house made out of tubes. But yeah, he said you know, that's kind of thing is that all these places that have these things, they don't want to put them in their garbage. They don't want to put them in their recycling because it fills it up. They got to pay for it. So they would love for people to come pick them up. So you know, driving around places, you know, especially industrial areas and things like that, if you see that they have a lot of stuff they're throwing away, you know, different kind of things. Like a lot of people will have like the big wooden crates. You can make a monster in a box out of those crates. You know, you already have the crate built. Look at that. You know, all you got to do is get the motor or a drill, and away you go. So that is ours. I got this. It was from a church, no less. I do not know why they did it, and I did not ask. I just went and wheeled it out and down the ramp and away into my car. We used it last year. It actually worked out very well. I painted a little more, and I believe I took off the arm handles, but it worked really well. It made a really loud sound when it crashed back down. We had somebody inside of it, and he popped up, and then you could see inside. So people were like, "I don't want it." So then now they're right on top of it, and then we popped it up. That and the drop panel together, because it was another misdirection. They were looking at that, and the picture's right here, and then it dropped, and they were freaking out. So, but if I ever don't have a use for it, I will obviously offer it up to haunters first. But so these I will kind of read off a little bit. They are in your thing, and some of these people are here today as well. I thought, you know, I'm able to talk about my advice. I thought, hey, it might be a good idea to involve some other people that have helped me and have also probably helped a lot of other people. But you know, one of the things I've actually already talked about this to another haunter in the trade show, that have a reason for your decorations. You know, make sure that they have a meaning to your haunt. If you have a tombstone and then right next to it you have a clown, it doesn't make sense. You know, have your clown stuff over here, you know, stuff like that. So have, you know, and just have a flow to what your decorations look like, and you know, go for. And I think, you know, Debbie's idea of the, you know, kind of goes back to my misdirection stuff, that they, you know, they're going to anticipate every second they're in there. They're going to anticipate a scare, and if you. Sometimes some of the scariest thing is not having a scare there. You're thinking it's, I mean, just that fear of being in there that something's going to happen, and then it doesn't. That's we have a pro haunt in Gresham called House of Shadows, and their big thing was they got to touch last year, and they got to move you around and scream at you and push you and things like that. And one of their biggest things was they were out in the queue line, and they were out in the front door, like yelling at you, saying, we're going to curse at you, we're going to throw you around, we're going to do all this stuff. And I mean, they freaked you out that you were just going to be tossed around every second of this thing. You walked in there and it was about half. So they even set your mind up that you were going to be just in tears when you left this place. But that is saved for McCamey Manor, because I know you probably have all seen their YouTube videos, and that place is freaky. Scott actually said a very good point about getting involved in a local haunters group. We have one here called Fright Fest Northwest, and there is talk of maybe another one eventually. But local haunters groups are one of the greatest things that I found as well, because we can talk to each other and we get together and stuff like that, have campouts, have meetings at different people's houses every couple of months and things like that. And so those type of groups, and it also kind of segues into the Facebook groups as well, but to have a local bunch of people that you can get with and talk to and call on the phone or go over to their house and say, hey, I want to work on this in June, and have them help you. It's a great little thing. And then lighting. I came from a lighting background in theater, and so lighting is kind of my thing in the haunt. After I kind of build a lot of it, then I go straight for the lighting part of it. And this year will be different because I've never had a bright haunt. And with a motel, I don't have to use dark. It doesn't have to be dark. So it'll be dim, but it'll be definitely, so that'll be a lot different, that I'll have to actually use some actual lighting techniques this year, instead of just putting up some spots and trying to hide stuff with darkness. And here in Portland, we don't really have a problem with home haunters and the fire department. I haven't anyways, and I don't know many other people who have had a lot of problems with fire departments. I know some other states and cities, especially this year, we've had several trying to be shut down. I know some of you probably have followed the haunted garden issue. I think that was one of the biggest one that was that hit home to me, because they were just trying to do something nice, and all the neighbors loved it, and except for a few, and those few made it extremely difficult. They're still fighting now. They have to go to court, I think, now or pretty soon, or they already have. Nobody wants to go to court for their home haunt. That's not fun at all. So we actually had fire department come through our haunt a couple of years ago, and they walked through and they were like, man, this is awesome. This is super cool. And and they were like, yeah, there's your electrical cords look good. I mean, they didn't say we had to do things with it. They just said, oh yeah, that works. A lot of our electrical was inside the buildings, so like our open ports and stuff, so that it was covered. But they said, yeah, we can't really. You're a home. You have home insurance, so that'll cover you. If somebody falls and trips, and that's on you. So you have.
I would not rely on home insurance if you invite that many people. You better get special with it.
Yes, and that we actually, in the end of this, we actually have, there's a guy, Dan Cow or whatever, the Davises use him. He's like in Michigan or something like that, but he actually has home haunter insurance. That's actually, or he has haunter's insurance. That's one of his things he specializes in.
And there's also a difference between the fire department and the state fire marshal's office. It has a lot more jurisdiction to tell you what to do.
Right. Yeah, we haven't had any problems. They haven't, with having 2,500 people, we had lines down the street, and they didn't, we had cops drive by, and they just waved. We had to change around our haunt, because we had it one year, we had people leaving towards the street, and we decided that we were running after them with a chainsaw. So hindsight on that one. Don't want to change, because we did have a few people run out into the street, and we lived on Stark, and it was very busy. And so I think we ended up putting some cones out or something like that, so people went in the other lane. But we then switched the flow, so they went back through. They actually went around in a circle and ended back in the queue line, which then aided them to be like, wow, that was awesome. And they just told the people who've been waiting for half an hour that they had an awesome time in there, and that made the people in line even more excited. So that was kind of a unseen advantage that we didn't think about. But yeah, and that definitely with Gary's point about working out codes. We used radios one year to tell them, hey, we had. Surprisingly enough, we had a lot of parents say, my kid's not scared, make it scary. I mean, he's saying he's not gonna be scared. We had parents of little kids saying, make it scary. And they would laugh at their kids when they left, because their kids were like crying, but they were happy. And they were just like, that was scary, but they were afraid. And these parents were like, nobody does that anymore. And I was like, well, you should come to the Hunters Convention. We all do it. But yeah, we had a lot of people say, make it scarier, and we said we will bring it down if you need us to. So that was one of the things, we just had, either visual communication or we had the radios. And so people would, come up and say, hey, he gets really freaked out easily. So we actually had a few that we had to walk through with one of our actors, walk them through. And I actually just talked to a gentleman from British Columbia. He's going to have an 8-year-old be his junior tour guide. And he's going to have him walk little kids that are scared through. So you have a kid walking kids, or an adult that those kids are going to think that adult's going to scare them too. So if you have another little kid, if you have a son or daughter, or you have a neighbor kid who's really into it, then you can have them work with you and they can walk them through. And don't make them scared or anything like that. But yeah, I'm actually thinking of using that idea this year as well. And then that goes right into the, use children. Doll rooms, just running through. I've seen some on tricycles, and they're riding through the haunt and stuff like that. Obviously, you want to make it wide enough so they can ride around the people. But so I mean, even just having a kid in there that's just like sitting in a room at a desk, and they just kind of look up, things like that. So kids are something that a lot of people don't expect in home haunts either, because they're not used in pro haunts a lot. They're on and off, they have them, but it's mainly adults and teenagers who are in there. And so to have a little kid is definitely an added little bonus. And yeah, Sean points to, if you're having the static aura walkthrough, is to, have good lighting, add motion, and make it interactive. One year we had, our biggest year, we had a school scene, and we had no idea that people were going to do this. We had kids sit down in the desks and put their hands in the cuffs, and we would slap the ruler on the desk, and we'd yell at them and stuff like that. And we had people go into, we had a grocery store, and we had like the counter, and then in the back wall we had freezers, and they would walk in and look at the shelves. They had rotting food on the shelves and everything, and they'd walk right up to the freezer, and he was sitting in there in the freezer with the light off, and he turned that light on and bang on the window, and they were right there. And they couldn't see him. Well, whatever glass we got for free on Craigslist, they could not see him. And it must have been triple or double pane glass, and he just flipped on that light, but we had no idea they were gonna walk into the haunt and sit in the chairs and walk up to the freezers. And so that was a very cool thing. So making it interactive is a very cool point. And yeah, so this is kind of a new thing for this year was I kind of joined on to the Facebook Halloween groups this year. One of my biggest one was Haunters Hangout. I think there's 6,000 people on that thing now. I think it blossomed from like 4 to 6 just in the past couple of months. And then Haunters Connection. And once you start joining up on those, your right side of your thing will start filling up with all the people that are in that group. They're all in a bunch of other Haunters groups. You'll see Chris and Jeff Davis in probably every one of them. And I'm in a lot of them too, but the Haunters Hangout, they actually have a Google chat every Thursday night where anybody can get on and go on the Google Hangouts and talk to each other, show off your props. On Halloween, around Halloween, they'll let you go with your video camera and walk around, and everybody on Google chat can see it. But that is probably the best thing, is that make a separate name for your Halloween. So like I have Troy Scare Hollow. They won't let you make like Scare Hollow, they won't let you make a person of that anymore. They'll let you do it, and then they'll catch you, and they'll force you to make a page, which is then a business, which means you can't post to Haunters Hangout. You can't join groups. You can't chat with people. You can only reply to people's comments on your thing. So it really restricts what you can do as a page. Your page would just be for advertising your haunt and posting up pictures of what you're going to do. So making a separate name that kind of has your name in it of your haunt works. They think that's my last name, so it kind of works. And because I have like 500 friends on there now, and I get like 4 or 5 every day, and so all those people posting on your personal one, that's a lot of stuff to look through. And we already have enough to look through on Facebook anyways. But once you join those groups, you will have the best knowledge, I believe, of any type of media. Is that I can post, hey, I've got this pneumatic prop that I can't make work. What do I need to do? And within an hour, you will have 15 responses of how to help it. Probably 2 video how-tos, and somebody saying, hey, message me. I'll help you with this. Even companies like Fright Props and the Froggies will get on there, and they will say, hey, you could do this. Hey, you can it's advertisement, but still it helps. But some of those guys, especially from Froggies, they will help you with anything you have. Their products, fog machines, anything. You ask them, they'll help you, no problem. And that's, posting the problems, bouncing thoughts and ideas off of each other. Your battery just done it. said 3 hours.
3 hours and 30 minutes.
You give me one of my things back there.
Hmm?
Can you give me one of my things back there? Oh, there's one more left.
There's one more left.
But I had my points anyways.
Your points. That's good.
And so yeah, just bouncing ideas off of people and having your problems heard by 6,000 people just in one group, you're gonna get the help you need, and then you can also in turn help other people. I've been on there. I'm on those things every day, and they help out. I help out a lot of people. I respond to people. We all kind of work together and come up with things. Sorry about that.
They'll make it better next year.
And then I'm not a big fan of Pinterest. I think it's a clutter board for your coffee table that you now put on your computer. But I know that a lot of people, my wife loves it, and she's come up with some great stuff on there that then I go and build, or she goes and builds. But it is a great place to find a lot of cool ideas and a lot of easy homemade ideas to make stuff. Yes, those sites are on the internet, but it's kind of cool to have a Halloween board. Just, now you have all the stuff you need. You can organize it however you want. I guess I don't have a Pinterest. So. And then that really sucks about that, because now this Google SketchUp thing's going to be done. So I actually I was sitting at work because we had January and February. We didn't have any work to do, so I just worked on haunt stuff. But I drew out in MS Paint my haunt, and yeah, I used straight lines and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, man, there's a lot of information on that page. That I was just like, this. I mean, yeah, it works. I'm used to it. But then I found Google SketchUp, and I came up with just the whole 3D version. I can rotate it, look around, move stuff around. Now that we had a 23-foot long bathroom. Now, I know everybody would love a 23-foot long bathroom, put anything you want there, but that's too long for a haunt. So we're gonna cut it in half, and we're gonna add a closet. So now I can go back in and very easily build another wall, put it across, and put it in the closet area, stuff like that. Probably done 15, 20 minutes. And I've got a 3D version that I can show everybody and say, hey, this is what our haunt's gonna look like. A lot of people are like, oh, where's that gonna go? Where's that? I just see a line. Now they can see a door with a drop panel in it and stuff like that. And that's kind of the cool thing about Haunt Design Kit. They were free when they first started. They were giving out all of their templates and all of their add-ons for free for Google SketchUp. But now that they've become pretty big, they got into Transworld, they got into HauntCon and stuff like that. And so they're starting to charge for some of their more intricate add-ons. But their starter kit has drop panels, it has they have pallet walls for free, and they probably have about 5 to 6 free add-on things that you can pretty much make any of your haunt stuff that way. And then there's a lot of free templates online. If you just Google, SketchUp design add-ons and things like that, a lot of people have some cool stuff on there. And it gives me something to look at and something to really visualize how it's going to look. Now, will it look like that when I'm done? Probably not. I'm going to try. But yeah, so on that, I mean, it's got the interlocking wall, the chain link panels, the spinning tunnel, body bags and corn bases and stuff like that. And then you have like the morgue pieces and the drums, tombstones. That's always a cool one to have. You can just make a cool thing for that. So this is the same from last year, but I also added the Facebook groups and the YouTube and just kind of gave people an idea. Get a Wix website if you want to really advertise your haunt. Post pictures on there, post videos and things like that. We have a Wix site that it's once you start, it's kind of like haunting. Once you start on it, you just start really, really building it, really having a lot of fun with it, because it's a lot of, Wix is just drag and drop. You can literally drag a picture from your desktop and put it right on the web page. There it goes. We actually use Vistaprint for all of our shirts. We have our Scare Hollow shirt, we have this one, and there's like Groupons all the time to make these, to make shirts, to make it real cheap. You can get like $17 for $70 worth of Vistaprint stuff. You can get 5, 6, 7 shirts out of that, $70. Obviously, probably the biggest thing about marketing is attend local haunters conventions. And I added on vlogging on YouTube. It's not for everybody. I know maybe some of you have seen Troy from Halloween Hellmouth. He does one every day. So does the Bloodshed Brothers. I think my wife would kill me. if I was on there every day doing the editing and all that kind of stuff. But I do the editing when my kids go to bed, when she goes to bed, so that I'm not, messing with our time. But some of the other websites that I came up with were the Google SketchUp, the Haunt Design. His name is Donat is his last name, but that's who I put that insurance one on there. That's the one that Davis has used. They actually suggested that for me to use. And then I also put some Facebook groups to join. We got Haunters Hangout, Extreme Halloween, Haunters Toolbox, West Coast Haunters Convention, and Haunted Attraction Industry. And we also have, on our website and on our YouTube channel, we have, I just finished our drop panel build that I did, and it's basically modular, so that you just have a 2 foot wide, 2 foot by 6 foot wide drop panel that then you can add anywhere you want. Because like last year, I had two 4 foot wide walls, and I had to cut a section of it out here, and then a little section out of here. So now those walls can't be used for anything but a drop panel. And so I was like, no, I need to make just a drop panel wall that's by itself. And I actually put legs on it and everything too. So if you use like, plastic walls or curtain, then you could make more legs for it, adapt it for what you need for your legs. And then you can just stand it up. And then you don't have to make other walls for it. You have this really loud, awesome scare. And then we have our smokestack and our cellar door that I built a couple years ago. And actually it was 5 years ago. The motor is the only thing that people would have a problem getting. I worked at a place that had printing presses, and we were throwing motors all the time, and they would still work. They just wouldn't go the right speed for the printing press, but they went perfect speed for a cellar door. And they just kind of rotated real quiet. And we put a wooden cog on there. We just cut a piece of wood into different shapes, and it banged the door up and down. And it still works. I only make it work for 2 nights out of the year because I don't want the motors to go out, and I